Peter, what are you doing?
Crack?
What the
It seems today that all you see.
An American staple of the 21st century, Family Guy serves as prime time's main course for the weary. With its well-executed jokes, relatable characters, and a plot that expands over dozens of seasons, a generational shift gathers to bear witness to the religious event that Family Guy boasts. Of course, I'm talking out of my ass since I haven't seen a full, single episode of Family Guy. When it comes to watching short clips from different episodes of Family Guy, though, you could stitch them together to form at least 2 seasons worth of episodes. But there's a clip from the episode Untitled Griffin Family History that stuck out to me. In the scene, the Griffin family decides to share secrets before they drown. Peter shares his final secret, that he did not like The Godfather. When asked why, he gave this response.
It insists upon itself, Lois.
What?
It insists upon itself. This seemingly obscure statement made refuge in my mind and died in it. Its rotted corpse stained my thoughts. Without truly understanding the meaning behind such a phrase, I held it as a legitimate criticism to a film. It remained uncontested until recent events vexed me to revisit the phrase. What did Peter mean when he said The Godfather insists upon itself? He never really gave an explanation as to what it meant. So was the statement just a throwaway line coughed up to fill up space? A pointless joke meant to make Peter look stupid? Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy, added the line to the scene as a reference to an experience he had during a film class. The teacher asked what everyone thought of the movie The Sound of Music. Being the film was one of his favorites, Seth gave it his praises, but the film teacher said he didn't like it. Why? It insists upon itself. The teacher left it at that, never explaining what he meant when he said The Sound of Music insists upon itself. To this day, Seth never found out the meaning behind the phrase. So while the joke in the scene had purpose, the phrase remains seemingly meaningless. Meaningless. I struggled with this for a while. A fault purely on my own shoulders for taking a gag from Family Guy to heart. No doubt I felt pretty stupid about myself, but redemption would come soon enough. A while back, I was discussing the quote with some people as to whether it's a legitimate criticism. We came to the conclusion that it's a dumb take to have. Yet, a revelation was made during the conversation. All movies insist upon themselves. It is an unavoidable requirement. Let me give you some examples. Star Wars insists upon itself that the events you're about to witness happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No Country for Old Men insists upon itself that a man from Texas found himself being chased by a drug cartel and a psychopath after discovering a bag full of drug money. The Chronicles of Narnia insists upon itself that there's a wardrobe that serves as a portal to another magical world which a bunch of disgusting British children stepped through and became heroes seemingly overnight. To make a plot for any form of media, you must have it insist upon itself in order to give it the right to exist. Imagine a movie having to excuse itself every few seconds, reminding the audience what they're seeing didn't actually happen. That would be one boring movie to watch. So let the movie stand its ground. Make the bold claim that the events that transpired in the plot actually happened. So to look at it at face value, it insists upon itself, is a nothing burger of a point because all movies insist upon themselves. But is that what Seth MacFarlane's film teacher actually meant when they said the famous quote? Probably not. I've seen some discourse around the quote with some people believing that it insists upon itself. It's just another way of saying the film is pretentious, which to me doesn't make any sense. Why not just call it pretentious? Pretentious itself as a word already sounds fancy, so to make up a phrase to do what a single word can do is too much effort. So without a concrete response from the film teacher, it insists upon itself. really is just a meaningless phrase. But just because the phrase has no meaning, that doesn't mean we can't assign meaning to it. While meditating on this conundrum, I have concluded with two possible explanations as to what it insists upon itself could possibly mean. It's either a way to criticize plot points, or the message of a movie. Let me explain. In terms of a movie insisting upon itself when it comes to certain plot points, it is a critique of poor writing when it comes to believing outcomes or narrative choices. You know, the writers employing cheap methods to keep the plot moving, even at the cost of making the overall action unbelievable. Let me give you an example. In Star Wars The Last Jedi, the movie insists upon itself that Luke Skywalker went into hiding after Ben destroyed the new Jedi Temple after waking up to Luke contemplating whether to kill him or not. Now, the movie is way too insistent on this fact. But why is this not believable? Because it doesn't take into account of Luke's journey on becoming a Jedi from the original Star Wars trilogy. We have Luke trying to save Darth Vader from the dark side. Darth Vader, the right hand of the Emperor, the executioner that instilled fear throughout the galaxy with his horrific actions. That's the guy Luke wants to save. Yet we have Luke later on trying to kill his nephew because he felt the dark side within him? No, absolutely not believable. So in that way, the film insists upon itself. Now, in terms of a movie being insistent upon itself due to its message, it is a way of critiquing a film when it has a message that feels too detached from reality. Maybe it's too optimistic, too pessimistic, biased on a political spectrum. A message conveyed to the audience that feels like a conversation that's too one-sided. A film should have a message that conveys their opinions or stance while having laid out both arguments on the table fairly. Not all movies succeed in executing such a stance, which is fine, but there are some movies that have a message that definitely feels tone-deaf. A grand example of this is Soul, a great Pixar film for sure. One that I'm sure can resonate with many adults. But the message always rubbed me the wrong way. The whole idea that you don't need to live your dream to be happy in life is a bit rich, coming from people who made their dreams come true by working at Pixar. The lucky few looking down at the struggling majority as they tell us it's okay to not have your dreams accomplished. Do you know what's the worst thing that anyone can experience? Letting their dreams die. Giving up on their aspirations and wasting 50 plus years at a dead-end job. That is what makes Soul, as a film, insists upon itself for its ill-guided message. Now would be the perfect time to tell me if I'm cooking or if I'm cooked in the comments section. Either way, we have a definition of sorts for it insists upon itself. And since we have this definition, I have decided it would be prudent if we gave Seth MacFarlane's film professor a chance at redemption. Try to step in his shoes and attempt to understand what he meant when he said the sound of music insists upon itself. The best way of doing that, of course, is watching the movie for myself. I'm pretty upset with myself that I went through my entire existence without watching The Sound of Music until now. The only vague memory I have of the existence of this film is the infomercials that would pop up during the 2000s. Such a lovely film, worthy of its world acclaim. I've said this on multiple occasions, but I am not a big musical guy. But damn, I'd be lying if I wasn't bopping my head to the sweet, whimsical melody.
When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so sad.
It was a great watching experience, but this film insists upon itself. I can see why the film professor thought the film insists upon itself. Not in terms of the movie's message, but on some plot points. Things felt way too easy. The blonde bitch sang a song and all the kids fell in love with her. The Duchess barely put up a fight when the captain caught feelings for the blonde bitch. Conflict was resolved due to the convenience of the plot. At one point, the whole family was caught red-handed trying to flee Austria by Nazi soldiers. But instead of being imprisoned immediately, they were allowed to perform one last time before sending the father away to war. But that only gave them an opportunity to escape successfully. Yeah, not very convincing. While these aspects didn't really bother me, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the college professor that his criticism of the sound of music is valid. In the video thus far, we've established a meaning for "it insists upon itself." With meaning comes purpose, and we've given Seth MacFarlane's film professor a pass for saying the sound of music insists upon itself. But what for? Why even bring up this whole topic in the first place? That's where Heretic comes in. A film where the plot revolves around two Mormon missionaries being held hostage by an old man who believes he knows the true religion. With how the film first presents itself, it gives off the impression that it is very much willing to insist upon itself when it comes to its message. While convincing, the tone seemingly leans in favor of the film's proposition to the viewer, insistent that its message is correct. Its view on religion is absolute. Yet, with the film's setup, Heretic turns on itself, providing a different outlook on its points. Rather than only believing its message to be truth, it produces a leveled playing field for discourse. A conversation presented on the table where both parties are allowed to lay their point of view for all to see. Heretic is a film where it doesn't insist upon itself. Our very first introduction to the main protagonist is them having a conversation about different sizes of condoms and monster cocks. The film sets these two Mormon missionaries as simple, innocent, unaware, maybe even downright stupid women. The kind of stupidity that arises from individuals who won't believe anything unless it comes straight from their holy text and religious leaders. Their portrayal throughout the movie seems to be a reflection of real-world examples of religious fanatics, a stepping stone to dive Heretic's point home. In the opposition to the girls, there's a creepy middle-aged man who invites the girls into his home, a stark contrast to the girls. He's calculated, articulate, educated. While the girls fumble with their words, the man is quick with responses, a quality that he uses to lure the girls deeper into his experiment. The girls' taboo sense of offense played a big role in having them be a part of this demonstration. They were clearly uncomfortable with the situation, yet they followed along with the man. The fake smiles and faltering pleasantries serving as heavy chains that ensnares, making escape more and more impossible. More context that will help prop up the message of Heretic. But what about the message, the point, Heretic is trying to make? Let's walk through it. The old man, Mr. Reed, begins to show the girls a history of religion, after having a brief and dull conversation about the Mormon faith. During this discussion, he makes the point that all religions have similarities between each other, like a savior being risen from the dead. He then comes to the conclusion that religions of past and present are just repackaged stories. Same ideas and concepts, but with a new coat of paint so newer generations can bond with the newer version of said religion. He uses several pop culture references to help illustrate his point. The best example being the comparison of Monopoly to the big three religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. He first shows the girls a board game that plays very similar to Monopoly, but explains that this version was the first iteration of the concept of building up capital and buying land. Then he shows the first copy of Monopoly, explaining that the inventor of Monopoly ripped off the inventor of the first board game shown and then took it to market with great success. Then he finally reveals the third board game, which is the modernized version of Monopoly, all with the same basic game mechanics, but with different looks. Once all three board games are revealed, he lays out the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, giving the same explanation that the stories and concepts are the same, but told differently to attract different audiences. Finally, he takes the Mormon Bible from the girls, and then compares it to a Bob Ross variant of Monopoly, saying that Mormonism is the spin-off, a variant of the main religion. The whole reason why Mr. Reed gave this demonstration is because he believes that all the versions of religion throughout man's history got it wrong. But Mr. Reed believes that he knows the true religion that he wants to share with these two Mormon missionaries. But his demonstration doesn't stop there. He'll soon have the girls make choices that degrades their faith, peeling away at their true feelings. He'll make them doubt and second-guess themselves at what they're seeing, all in the effort to dissuade their notions of their religion and to prepare them, or in this case, her, to the true religion. And what is the true religion? Control. Like sheep, the religious institutions corral the masses into the way of life that the religious leaders want. Your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs are not your own. Your life has been cultivated to fit the hive mind of the big man. That's Heretic's point. Religion is a system of control. The few controlling every little aspect of a person's life to do their bidding. There is no God, only man. Faith is but a side effect of living a life where your thoughts are not your own. You gave up your existence to these few men because they made you believe their way is the only way of living. A strong message to convey, for sure. Many would think Heretic insists upon itself because of its message, and I would have to agree with them. While I do agree what the movie has to say, I can't sit here and say Heretic's point on religion doesn't make itself seem insistent. That is, if it didn't take steps to confront itself. Like I said earlier in the video, Heretic does not insist upon itself because it provides a discourse on the topic of religion, rather than a simple one-sided lecture on what Heretic thinks of religion. While the two missionaries were first introduced as dim light bulbs, the constant application of pressure and dread as the realization that they're trapped in the house without any way of escape allowed them to push back on Mr. Reed's points. During the Monopoly comparison, Mr. Reed made an observation that the Jewish belief of the Torah is drastically overshadowed by Christianity, Islam, and other adjacent religions. His conclusion was the Jews didn't advertise their religion as much as the other religions. But later on, one of the girls, Sister Barnes, brings up the point that the reason why not many people are of the Jewish faith is because the number went down during the Holocaust. 6 million people reduced to dust will absolutely have an effect on the percentage of people who believe in the Torah. Then once they're stuck in the dark pit, they make a pact between themselves that they must fight back on every point, every opinion Mr. Reed offers to the girls. A pact that will come in handy for Sister Paxton. But the best way the film keeps itself in check is in the form of two seemingly supernatural events. A miracle and a sign. After the death of Sister Barnes, poor Sister Paxton was left on her own to survive Mr. Reed's deranged demonstration. And once she figured out the true religion and stabbed Mr. Reed in the neck, Sister Paxton ran back to the pit, but was cornered once again by the critically injured Mr. Reed. On top of her and ready to take revenge, Sister Paxton watches horrified as Mr. Reed slowly reaches out to her, until his head was bludgeoned by Sister Barnes with the stick first made earlier in the introduction of the pit. We saw the blood gushing out from her throat. That amount of blood loss would be fatal. Yet Sister Barnes rose from the dead to defend her beloved friend one last time. A miracle. This is critical to the plot, since earlier Mr. Reed had an entire scenario where the girls were led to believe that an old, crusty-looking woman from a bygone era resurrected from the dead after eating a blueberry pie that was poisoned. The whole point of that horrible demonstration was to show the girls that miracles are not real. They're just tricks to give the religion more validity. With Sister Barnes' final act, it seems to have proven Mr. Reed wrong. Once Sister Paxton was able to escape, she looks around relieved that she managed to survive that hellhole. But before she could get back on her feet, a butterfly lands in her hand before vanishing into thin air, leaving her in the cold. A sign. Towards the beginning of the movie, as they're first introducing themselves to Mr. Reed, Sister Paxton makes a comment that when she dies and comes back in another form, she would like to be reincarnated as a butterfly. When she does become a butterfly, she would find the ones she loved in her past life and land on their hand. A sign that indicates that she's okay. The moment Sister Paxton had with the butterfly is an impossibility for two reasons. The butterfly vanishing abruptly, of course, is the obvious first one, but the second reason being butterflies can't fly in the snow. The cold winds wouldn't allow it to fly. Despite there being a strong winter storm in the previous night, the little butterfly managed to survive the night and managed to fly right on top of Paxton's hand. That butterfly could be Sister Barnes, or a figment of Sister Paxton's imagination. But either way, she saw a butterfly land on her hand. Without these unexplainable events and rebuttals from the girls, the film would have a completely different stance. If the movie ended with the opinion that religion is a system of control and allowed the girls to remain to be viewed as stupid, ignorant religious zealots, then without a shadow of a doubt, you could make the claim that Heretic insists upon itself. It could have been extremely easy for Heretic to get away with being so one-sided and blunt with its views, since so many people nowadays are turning away from religion. But it chose a different path, one that provides the viewer with a more valuable conclusion. Some might say Heretic is anti-religion, but I think it's more so anti-control. I think Heretic's true message lies with that notion. The film wants you to think for yourself, question everything, be educated in order to see the lies and dismantle them. Religion may be guilty of this, but it's not the only institution out there trying to control your every thought, actions, and emotions. Don't be a sheep. Don't live your life how the big man wants you to live it. Be you. Heretic insists.